Live on WFLA Now. Feel good and live your best life with Bloom Health Club. Here's Gail Guayardo.
Today we are helping you age powerfully with celebrity nutrition and fitness expert JJ Virgin, who teaches clients how to lose weight and master their mindset so they can lead bigger, better lives. And as part of her mission, JJ hopes to cut out all of the misinformation out there and give you science-backed strategies to help you age powerfully. We once again want to welcome our friend, New York Times bestselling author, nutrition and fitness expert, JJ Virgin, to the Bloom Health Club. Thanks for being with us again.
Glad to be here.
So the last time you and I talked, you were talking about bone health. We touched on it slightly, but I want to take a deeper dive. And you said something about, not being able to turn, to open a jar very easily. And man, it wasn't like the next night I'm home making dinner and I'm trying to open a jar and I'm struggling with it. I'm like, what is my problem? Like I lift weights all the time. I try to do everything right. Go get a scan, osteopenia, just like my grandmother had, just like my mother had. But what you're out there doing is teaching people that this can be reversed and that you can slow it down.
Well, so someone might be listening going, well, what does opening a jar, grip strength, have to do with bone density? And the reality is that bone health is a lagging indicator of muscle health. If you have great, strong muscles, you likely will have really good bones. And what do we know? We know that starting at around the age 30, and these are crazy statistics when you think about it, and they don't have to be, we start to lose up to 1% of our muscle each year. But bigger than that, we lose 2 to 4% of our strength. That's that ability to open a jar. And then bigger than that is our power. That's ability to move fast, do something quickly. That's 6 to 8%. I don't know if you saw the meme going around the internet saying, after the age of 30, it's like 1% of us will ever sprint again. I'm like, where's the study on that? But then I thought, when have I been sprinting? I started sprinting after that. But, 11% of us age 50 to 60 have what's called sarcopenia, or low muscle mass. And basically, if you don't have good muscles, you're not going to have good bones. You've got to put the stress on your bones, and it's that stress that's causing you to build muscle that's going to help you build bone. And if you're not using it, both muscle and bone, you are losing it.
But there's got to be more to the equation, because I do like this scan, not a DEXA scan, but a body scan. And, at the gym I work out at, and my muscle strength has improved. Yet when I did the lifeguard imaging, bone scan, it told a different story. So am I missing nutrients? Like what's going on?
Well, you want to throw the kitchen sink at it, but here's the situation. Really, we're building the most of our bone in our teenage years. If you really look at how we should be doing this, we should go back in time and get a bone density scan the first time when we're teenagers and really focus on lifting weights. I actually started lifting weights when I was 16 with the high school football team back then, because we didn't have gyms, we had figure salons. But that would be when we'd really want to start doing this. We want to get our daughters, right, lifting weights and doing hard stuff when they're young. And I'm glad that the focus has now shifted to that. However, building muscle, and even more importantly, building bone, is a little bit like watching grass grow. It's not going to happen quickly. Muscle will happen quick. Strength will happen fast compared to muscle size, compared to bone. Bone's the hardest to do. And for you, if you can just stop the loss, it's a major thing. So I'd say, first of all, you want to be able to look at it the right way, and a DEXA scan is going to give you the best information. And doing a DEXA scan twice a year, not just to look at bone mineral density, but also to look at your skeletal muscle mass.
Twice a year?
Ideally, while we're watching what's happening.
Okay.
And then you correlate it with whatever else you're doing, maybe the scan at your gym. And then we want to look past just what are we doing to build muscle size and strength, to what can we do that's going to directly help our bones. So it's beyond just exercise. One of the things we know for women is that hormones are huge here. I mean, when do women's bone density really fall off the cliff? It falls off the cliff at menopause. When estrogen dumps, bone mineral density dumps. And we need both estrogen and progesterone there for both. You want to be building up bone and breaking it down, and building up, always remodeling. So you need both sides of that, but you want to make sure you're building up as much or more than you're breaking down, right? As we age, we break down more than we build up. So estrogen is important, okay? Not being stressed. High stress is going to break you down. It's catabolic, so that's a big deal. Getting good nutrition in. As we age, we have something called anabolic resistance. Now, we already know the RDI for protein's silly. It's based on like 20-year-old young men, not 40-year-old plus women. So we need about twice what the RDI says for protein because we actually need more protein as we age to overcome this anabolic resistance, our body's ability to extract those essential amino acids from the protein and use them for muscle protein synthesis.
So I want to circle back a little bit because I definitely want to take a deeper dive in nutrition. I was late to the party on this whole hormone replacement therapy situation, which, by the way, has been a game changer. I haven't quite committed to the pellet land that
I don't like those pellets.
The pellets? Yeah. Okay. All right. So I mean, I know a lot of people
I
love
don't,
them.
because you can't. They're in. They're
in.
in.
There's
I don't like that,
yeah,
man.
Yeah. So I do a patch,
Mhm,
a
me too.
progesterone patch, or
estrogen patch.
estrogen patch. I do, I dissolve the progesterone under my tongue, and I do inject the testosterone, and it's been a game changer. And you say that in itself will help
Huge.
bone health.
And here's what's important. You said I was late to the party. I feel like there's a whole group of women older than you, 65 plus, that feel like they missed the party altogether because the Women's Health Initiative had all that bad press that was misinterpretation of a study.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the things to know is that you can actually start HRT. You didn't miss the party. So if you're listening to this going, I missed the party, you didn't miss the party, you can still go to the party. And we have, there are doctors out there who are specializing in helping women who never went on hormones get on hormones. So it's never too late. Just like it's never too late to start lifting weights, it's never too late to optimize your protein intake. It's never too late.
So let's also talk about supplementation, because even in that arena, which I became far more focused on after getting the bone density scan, I still am missing a couple of things. You brought up that you got to have a good protein powder. That's just, and then creatine, which I am not taking, which I'm going to start.
We're going to start today.
I'm going to start today. Amino acids, vitamin D, and vitamin K, correct?
Yeah. So everyone, when they think of bone health, thinks of what? They think of calcium,
right,
and maybe magnesium. And yes, these are important. But I would argue if I was going to do the hierarchy of what you need here in terms of the nutrition side, not the exercise side, the hierarchy is vitamin D is so super mission critical here. And when I say D, I always want to think of it in partnership with K. So D3, K2. Mm-hmm. D is going to help you absorb that, D you get from the sun. D is going to help you absorb calcium. And then K makes it go in the right places. Right? So you want to have those two together. And then, of course, you're taking calcium, magnesium, and you're getting good. Always start with diet, but you're not going to get what you need from your diet. I think most of us probably need more magnesium anyway. So vitamin D, K, what you do is you take a 25-hydroxy vitamin D test. And if you live in a seasonal area, you do it twice a year because, like, if you're in Minnesota, clearly your vitamin D levels are going to go down more in the winter unless you're out in the sun with sunscreen blocking your vitamin D. So see what you need. Most of people are going to be somewhere 5,000 IUs a day to supplemental. The next one is fish oil. Fish oil actually can help with bone remodeling. Mm-hmm. So it's a biggie. So can flax seeds. I love flax seeds. Flax seeds
for every day I have them.
For women 40 plus, I think flaxseed meal is one of the best things you can do. Freshly grind that flaxseed so it doesn't oxidize. It's good for bone mineral density, inflammation. The lignans are fantastic, good for gut health, gut healing. So fish oil, flaxseed meal, and then creatine. And
creatine got a bad rap. My daughter's like, "Why aren't you doing creatine, Mom? As much as you lift weights."
Let's break down the bad rap. Let's go through it.
All right.
I don't even use it.
Yeah, let's bring in Brody
Okay,
Waddell.
let's talk
you.
in. What are the things you're hearing? Let's blow through them.
Well, I from like my research and just knowing people that lift, they act like if you only take one supplement besides protein, it's pretty much creatine. That would be the best idea to do it. They all rant and rave about it. I've never used it, so I don't know personally. So I would love.
Let's talk about what it does.
Away?
It's just like having to take it consistently, and then there's like the complications, like you have to load it, and like Load over time.
Well,
and
you
do all
don't
this and
you don't
that
have to
and-
load it. So we store creatine in our muscles and then some in our brain and your gonads. We don't have those, so we don't store them there.
Right.
So brain and muscle, women have less, maybe because we have less muscles, maybe because we're not eating food sources of it. It is in food, it's in meat and fish. However, it gets degraded with cooking. So unless you're eating like, carpaccio and sashimi, you're probably not getting a whole lot. And likely, depending on your size, you're going to want to take in anywhere from 3 to 5 grams. But that's of creatine monohydrate, and I'm actually switching over my types here. The arguments around creatine that was negative are this. Number one, that it causes hair loss. There is zero on that. There was one
I think that's why I
study-
didn't do it.
well,
Because
there was-
my hair loss journey has been the struggle.
one falsely attributed study where they saw DHT levels go up and they thought that this would cause hair. It never has been shown, and especially not in women. So it's amazing how one thing goes out and becomes this crazy urban legend. Nope, no hair loss thing. Here's what monohydrate has been shown to do. So it's very important that you're monitoring your total body water. Realize when you're using a bioimpedance scale that looks at body composition by looking at total body water, that having more body water is good because it means that it's a proxy for more muscle mass. But one of the things you'll hear about creatine is that it causes bloating and GI issues. And that's because creatine monohydrate, not all of it is actually absorbed into the bloodstream. Some of it is causing some GI issues and can cause some fluid retention that's not within the muscle.
Okay.
But not for everybody. So I have creatine monohydrate. Some people
But
do
you're
great
switching.
with it. I'm also offering creatine HCl because I find for women who are sensitive, when I first started telling everyone to use it, I got about 20% of the women were like, I can't do this, blah, blah. And I was like, okay. At first I was like, oh, it's fine. Just you'll adjust. Well, women won't adjust. If their weight goes up, they're like not adjusting. They're done. Now, if you start getting on creatine and your weight goes up a pound, that's more fluid in your muscles. That's fantastic. But if your weight goes up a couple pounds, that's not okay, and that's bloating, right? So what I started to do was mess around with these different types, and I'm actually coming out with a creatine for women because I know how we are, and if our weight goes up a couple pounds, we're out. We're out. We're out.
That happened to me with the estrogen. I was doing a version of that, and I went up like 7 pounds, and I got online, and I looked it up, and weight gain was the first side effect of
And
it.
you're like,
And
I'm out.
I'm out. I rather look one way than the better health. And I know that sounds really shallow, Brody, but those are
we
the
can
facts.
have, you know what the
I
thing
get
is?
it.
You can have both. And that's the thing I saw. So you don't need to load. It will take you about 3 to 4 weeks to get your tissue stores up to where they need to be. If you miss a day, like everything, you're not falling apart. But what you're going to find is when you consistently take it, you have better energy because creatine is part of what's called your phosphocreatine system that helps you generate ATP quickly for explosive energy. And once you feel that way, why wouldn't you want that? It gives you more energy to your brain. It gives you more energy when you work out. It helps you recover more. It is literally one that you can feel. It's, in fact, this summer I did this crazy travel schedule where I went from Florida to London, to Boston, to Spain, to Lisbon, to Florida. You're following me just kind of by
I
here.
am.
To British Columbia, to LA, to Florida. Now, not smart time zone, like literally bop, 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 right? I had zero issues. And I used to be the person who had terrible jet lag. But I read a study about using creatine if you had sleep deprivation, and I used it to time zone adjust, and it was easy. So it is now my hack. I double it up when I travel. Like as soon as I land, I take some a little bit later. Like if I'm starting to feel like I'm lagging, I'm great.
So when are you coming out with this creatine HCl that you speak of?
Well, it's a creatine blend. It's called Sheatine.
Sheatine.
My hubby named it Sheatine.
I like that.
Because I met the guy who created it because he was trying to solve the problem. And I never would have believed there was a problem, except as I was pushing all these women to get on creatine, I kept hearing it. And I'm like, oh my, and at first I was kind of, a bully. I was like, get over it. It's fine. They won't do it. I'm like, all right.
I would have
the
been one of
problem.
those women. I would have
Solved
been,
the
no
problem.
way.
So literally, I'm a couple weeks out. and
Okay.
It's
All right.
coming
So I
in.
have to add
Creatine
creatine.
is
Yeah.
coming
Creatine
to a
is
shelf near
coming.
you.
Yes, because I am on a mission. You know, if you think about powerful aging, creatine is like a foundational piece of it. And you talked about protein. And I'll tell you another thing that I think is important is I love protein powders, but even better than a protein powder are essential amino acids. It's another thing that I travel with because you eat protein to get these essential amino acids, right? And if you don't get enough protein in, you're not going to get your essential amino acids. So I see this as a little simple hack, especially for women who are like, I couldn't eat that whole chicken breast. I'm like, really? Well, if you didn't eat the baguette first, you could have eaten the chicken breast. So just eat the chicken breast first.
Right.
You can eat it. You can do it.
You can do it.
But it is amazing. I still hear this. I can't eat that much protein. I'm like, but I saw what else you ate. Sure, you could. So the essential amino acids, I think I go to the gym every day with my jug that's got my creatine, my essential aminos, and electrolytes in it.
Okay. So wait, so the amino acids come in a liquid form too?
No, they're powder. So what
Okay.
I do is I have literally this 64-ounce thing that I take to the gym, and I use green tea because green tea is super good for insulin sensitivity. It's great for steady energy, but not chaotic energy because of the theanine in it. So I do green tea and all the polyphenols, very good for you. Green tea, and then I mix in creatine,
Okay.
and I mix in my electrolytes, and I mix in the essential aminos.
What does this taste like?
It tastes great.
It does?
Yeah. Now,
Okay.
essential aminos are horrible tasting, so they have to put in a sweetener of some sort and a flavoring of some sort.
Yeah.
So,
Like those
you know.
BCAA powders.
yeah, and you don't actually want to do BCAAs are kind of like the 80s are calling and want their
Yeah.
bad sports supplement back. Everyone now does the essentials because we know that you know, we used to think, oh, you just need the branch chains, you need the lysine, but what we now, or the leucine rather, what we now know is that there's other of the essentials that are rate limiting all along the way. So it's the essentials you want.
I'm literally here taking notes on my iPad of the things I got to drop ship to my house, Brody.
Yeah, you need so many.
But you are seeing a trend of people, you know, gravitating to this space because I think aging powerfully is becoming more important to so many of us. I mean, I had kids, my last two children, very late in life. And I really, you know, I've been working hard. I want to age powerfully. And
No,
you're
now
seeing
it's
that
not time
movement.
to have fun.
Exactly.
Right? It's like you didn't
Yes.
work all this way to then like not be able to enjoy it.
Right.
And I heard something Dr. Peter Attia said a couple years ago, and I went, that is it. And it just shifted my whole mindset. And he talked about, you know, the centenarian Olympics and or decathlon. He goes, basically, what do you need to be training for now so that in your 80s and 90s and 100 you can do what you want to do? And I thought, well, what do I want to be able to do when I'm 90? And I thought, you know, I used to work in Palm Springs, and I remember working with a client back then. I said, what are your goals? And she goes, I want to be able to dance in stilettos.
Ooh, I
And
love
I thought,
that.
all right, well, there's one.
Yes.
You know?
Granny
Definitely
sounds
want to be able
fun.
to dance. But you think about like traveling, and I know you somehow travel carry-on around the world, which blows my mind. I don't. We just came home from Spain, and we literally had 4 suitcases that were all at 70 each, and our carry-ons and our tote bags.
But most of them are filled with your essential amino acids,
all that stuff.
electrolytes, green tea.
They were, except we got to
Creatine.
Spain and discovered it's the best fashion place ever. And we
Yeah.
both got brand new wardrobes.
There you
Yeah,
go.
Lots of clothes.
So there it is. Pack your vitamins and shop when you get there.
Right.
I like that
That's
strategy.
what's great is you bring all these things, you bring your all of your consumables, and you use them up, and then you have all this space to
Put
shop.
your souvenirs and stuff in.
brilliant,
Good call.
actually.
Right? Isn't it great? No, it
Yes.
works like a charm because literally I travel, I bring a food scale, a regular bioimpedance scale too. And then we bring our protein powders and our bars and our aminos and our creatine and our sleep product and our magnesium. Like we bring all of it. And then we use up all of it.
And you shop.
And then we shop and we fill it
Pack
in.
it away.
Mhm.
It's a brilliant plan, actually,
Yeah,
Brody.
There you go.
I
Might have to
love
try
it.
that. I'm a carry-on guy too.
Yeah,
I
my
can't
husband,
carry on for a weekend.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know my husband. I mean, I'm packing cubes. We should do a Bloom Health Club on Gale packing.
Yeah, maybe we should.
Because I can fit a lot of it. Now, I am not taking all of the supplements. I do take some of them, but not all of them because I wouldn't be able to fit everything in. In addition to supplementation, we've talked about that. We've talked about weightlifting. We touched on that. I don't think enough. I don't think women truly understand the benefits of weightlifting. For me, it was a game changer, especially when I was entering into menopause. That's when I really started it. I mean, the natural, human growth hormones, everything that it helps, the brain power, it's unbelievable. And it's transformative of the way you look too.
Right. And I still hear people are still going, well, can I just do Pilates? Won't that count? And I go, no. Unless there's no way that you can put the overload in Pilates or yoga that you can do with resistance training. So I love both of them, but if I had to prioritize, let's do a hierarchy of needs for this. Number one, you got to move. So I can't say, hey, do your 30 minutes of exercise 3 times a week if you're sitting on your butt the rest of the time. So the first thing really is to track your steps. And I'm obsessive about tracking my daily steps and making sure I get them. And then I threw a weight vest on you earlier. Throw the weight vest on. And that could be, you could just literally use a backpack. So when you're traveling, you could just use a very cute backpack and throw some stuff in it. So a weighted vest of some sort is great for loading the spine and the hips and expending more calories. Yahoo, 2 for 1. But then after that, the next priority is resistance training. And really resistance training, doing things that mimic activities of daily living. So, I hear quite often, I can't do that because of my knees or my back. And I'm like, well, if I'm talking about, say, a squat, can't squat because of my knees and back. I'm like, do you get off the toilet? Because,
you need those things.
You're squatting.
Right.
You're squatting. Are you getting out of a car? Like, we have to do the things in life, in training, that we do in life so that we don't get hurt in life.
It's so true. It's so true. And just living life. Like you were taking me back. One of our actual regular Bloom guests, Ella DeVar, who's a nutritionist out of Miami, she said, hey, you should go to the Dolomites. And so we went hiking, like an aggressive hike. And yours truly carried the backpack filled with everybody's water, because the climate kept changing, everybody's clothes, everything. I was walking around with about 25, 30 pounds on my back. I'm not sure old Gail, could have done it. The Gail of 4 or 5 years ago who wasn't. I mean, I've always been an exercise enthusiast, but not to the level I am now with resistance training.
Well, and here's the thing. Diet could be carnivore, vegan, anything in between. Exercise could be marathon running or qigong. I mean, it could be anything, and they're all very, very different. If you look at what happens as we age, yes, we lose some cardiovascular power with our VO2 max, but you can actually train that cardiovascular system by doing resistance training. The biggest thing we lose as we age is all this strength and power. And if we're not training it, we're going to lose it. And we're so used to, as women, doing lots of cardio.
Yeah.
Right?
And we don't need
and then
it.
Maybe we'll do some stretching.
Yeah. Yeah, not enough. So you said, get moving, count those steps, track those steps. Then you also said resistance training. Then
and
what?
hard resistance training. This is not, going and doing
5
the little
pound
pink
weights.
dumbbells.
Right.
Those are paperweights. This is doing, you start with form. Form always trumps everything. And what's cool is if you had to do it, you could do it through machines. I like doing things like squats and push-ups because they pull in a lot more and they're more real world. But it has to be something where you do multiple sets and it gets hard and you feel like you can only squeeze out another 1 or 2 in good form, right? It has to be hard. It's not easy. You're not doing 50 repetitions of something.
And then we're wrapping it up with our diets and supplementation because you believe that we cannot get the nutrients we need from the way that foods are grown today. I mean, I've been told many times that a tomato 30 years ago is not the same tomato in 2024.
Yeah, I mean, here's the thing. We start with food. Like you start with food. So you start with food and you use a food tracking app. It's going to tell you how you're doing and you eat as close to nature as possible, as whole as possible. I love things like, protein powders. When someone goes, that's processed. I go, it's not ultra processed. There's a difference between conveniently processed food so that we can make sure we're getting what we wanted and garbage food, right? I mean, use process where it's going to make it easier for you, and then add in and look at what are the most common things we're going to need more of because we're just not getting it in our diet. And creatine's one of them. D with K is one of them, mainly because we're avoiding the sun and using sunscreen. You might not be getting enough omega-3s, eating enough fish. So start to supplement where you need to once you've got the food straight.
How do we follow you, JJ? Like, how do we keep track of this shea cream that you speak of and all the sheatine? That's it, sheatine.
Although the cream, I am thinking about the skin because creatine's good for your skin too.
Okay. So how do folks track you? You know, read your New York Times best-selling books, all the things.
jjvirgin.com.
Easy enough.
Easy peasy.
Nice.
Well, thank you so much for joining us again. We always appreciate it. I know we're going to have a lot of your incredible guests and the women that you know appearing on Bloom, our globally syndicated show coming up in November, and then hopefully another host of them coming up at the start of the new year in 2025. But in the meantime, we always appreciate your wisdom on Bloom and Bloom Health Club.
I just made a note to get you sheatine as soon as it comes
Thank
out.
you. I love it. All right. Thanks, JJ.
All right, thanks everybody.